Today we're making some carnivore soup. It should be super easy, only a few ingredients, and because it is now getting cold up here in Canada, it is always nice to have something that really warms you to the bone. A steak tastes delicious, but it doesn't give you that same warmth after a long day outside. So this is something that is definitely super easy to make, super easy to meal prep, and use just a handful of ingredients. I have some leftover just a leftover roast from yesterday, so it's a little bit leaner, so it's hard to just eat on its own or like without adding a sauce to it or something. So I think this will be a perfect use for that. About a pound of ground beef, and then I have kind of 3 jars of beef broth, and then this is gelatin. So one of the things you get from making tallow or rendering down tallow, so just make it a little bit thicker. All I'm gonna do is brown the ground beef, and then we'll add it to a big pot, add pretty much everything else, and just let it stew. So super easy, so let's get right into it. Just gonna brown your meat like you normally would, medium heat. I'm gonna use the tallow that rendered on top of this gelatin. So this will go into the soup anyway, but may as well use it. I'm also out of tallow at the moment. I need to make a bunch more, but this will be what I use for the oil to start the meat. And then you can see that jiggly tallow. Hopefully you can see it jiggle. That will be fantastic to make the soup just a bit thicker. And so we'll just let the oil or the tallow melt and throw our meat in. Okay, ground beef going in. And then we'll just stir that around. It's salted if you want to put on. I'll probably put some chili powder on it because I love chili powder, but you can flavor it however you want. You can also add whatever you want to this soup, really. Like if you want to make it a cheeseburger soup, you could add a whole bunch of cheese and that would make it really creamy in that way. Or you could add cream if you like the taste that cream provides. You could throw in a few vegetables if you like, the onion or tomato or tomatoes or something like that, just to give it that little bit more flavor. And you can also add whatever leftovers you have. Like I'm just using this roast, but it could just be a smorgasbord of whatever you have in your fridge. You just put it together and make it into a kind of a meat carnivore soup. Okay, the ground beef is pretty much done here. So what I'm gonna do is switch over to the big pot. I would have used a medium one, but our medium one is being used elsewhere. And then I'm just gonna dump this in, and then we'll add all the liquid, the broth, and the gelatin on top. So this one is supposed to be broth, but it's quite gelatinous. You can see it's very, very jello-like, which will add some depth to the soup. That is broth, and then the other broth with the tallow. Tallow will just add some fat, extra flavor, and then the gelatin. The gelatin will become less solid and turn into liquid when it's warmed up, so it's not gonna look and taste like this, or not gonna look like this all the time. But once it's hot, it's all liquid and it's all good. And then you just stir this around. Probably gonna bring the temperature down a little bit and really let that soak in. And then I will go grab the leftover roast and then drop this in as well. Now this lean meat will really soak in all the fat and the liquid and give it a much better flavor and just be easier to eat. It won't be so dry. And then here you can decide if you want more liquid, or if you have other leftovers you can throw in, you can do that too. But I think I like the consistency. I might put a little bit of water in. I think there's just a little bit too much meat, so I'm gonna rinse out these bone broth and gelatin jars just to get all the rest of the nutrients in there. And then we'll add them in as well, and that should be a handful of meals for us. There you have it. I think that'll be slightly better, not as hearty, to better proportions, I'd say. But you can obviously choose how much you make. If I would have had more bone broth, I would have used way more, but I am now out, so maybe my next video will be how to make bone broth, because I have a whole bunch of bones from the cow we got. But I think that's looking pretty good. Hopefully it comes to a boil. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit, get it boiling, and then we're gonna simmer it for 15-20 minutes and she'll be done. We are full on boiling now. So I'm gonna reduce this to low. And then we just let it sit for about 15 minutes. And something I'm gonna do at the end is just add a good chunk of butter, just to add a little bit more richness to it. Just make sure you come by and stir it occasionally. You don't want anything to burn to the bottom. But yeah, it's starting to smell really good now. Okay, been about 20 minutes now. I think we're good. Turn her off. Oh, very smelly. Very good smelling. I'm going to add a good chunk of butter, and then that will melt in, and then it'll be done. So I'm just gonna let this sit for a couple minutes. But other than that, that's how you make carnivore soup. Quite easy. You can use whatever leftovers you have. I like to add ground beef because it's just super simple. Cook your meat, put it in. If you have bone broth, use that. If you don't, you can just get beef broth from the store, or you could use water, just wouldn't taste quite as good. And then add the gelatin if you have it, and you have a fantastic tasting soup. So that's it for this one. We'll see you in the next one.